rates improved without them. Whoopi interjected, her voice rising, "But that's ignoring systemic racism." The tension built as Sunny Hostin added her take, accusing Sowell of being out of touch with real-world struggles. Sowell countered with historical examples, from the Irish immigrants to Asian Americans, showing how groups overcame barriers through education and hard work, not government handouts. The audience murmured, some nodding, others shifting uncomfortably. As the segment progressed, Whoopi grew more animated, her hands gesturing wildly. "You're saying poor people just need to pull themselves up? That's insensitive." Sowell remained unflappable. "I'm saying incentives matter. Welfare programs often create dependency, as evidenced by the rise in single-parent households since the 1960s. Sarah Haynes tried to mediate, but the conversation heated up. Whoopi slammed her hand on the table lightly. "This is ridiculous. You're denying lived experiences." The camera zoomed in on Sowell's steady gaze as he prepared to delve deeper into statistics that challenged the host's narratives. The energy in the room crackled, with the co-hosts exchanging glances, sensing a challenge they hadn't anticipated. Sowell's voice cut through the noise. "Facts don't care about feelings, as someone once said. Let's look at the data on minimum wage laws and their impact on black unemployment rates in the 1940s versus today." The discussion veered into education, with Ana Navarro questioning charter schools. Sowell defended them vigorously. In Harlem, Success Academy outperforms public schools dramatically, proving that choice empowers parents. Whoopi rolled her eyes, muttering under her breath, which the mic picked up, escalating the moment. As the debate intensified, Whoopi Goldberg's frustration became palpable, her face flushing as she interrupted Sowell mid-sentence. "Hold on! You're cherry-picking facts to fit your conservative agenda!" she exclaimed, her voice echoing through the studio. Sowell paused, then replied methodically, "My agenda is truth. For instance, the war on poverty spent trillions, yet poverty rates stagnated. Why? Because it subsidized behaviors that perpetuate poverty." The audience gasped at his directness, some applauding while others booed. Joy Behar leaned in aggressively. "That's blaming the victim. What about corporate greed?" Sowell shook his head. "Markets allocate resources efficiently when free. Government interventions often benefit the politically connected, not the poor." Sunny Hostin fired back about racial wealth gaps, citing slavery's legacy. Sowell acknowledged history but pointed out, West Indian blacks in America outperform native-born blacks economically, suggesting culture and family structure play key roles, not just racism. Whoopi stood up slightly, losing her composure. "This is offensive. You're dismissing our pain." The producers in the control room exchanged worried looks as the show veered off script. Sowell continued undeterred. "Dismissing facts is the real offense. Consider IQ tests and their correlation with success. It's not about race, but about skills acquired through stable environments." The co-hosts talked over each other, trying to regain control, but Sowell's logical barrage kept coming. Sarah Haynes asked about income inequality. "Isn't trickle-down economics a myth?" Sowell refuted. "It's supply-side economics, and Reagan's policies led to economic growth that lifted all boats, including minorities." Ana Navarro brought up immigration, accusing Sowell of anti-immigrant stances. He clarified, "Legal immigration built America. Uncontrolled borders strain resources, as seen in sanctuary cities' budgets." Whoopi's interruptions grew more frequent, her tone shrill. "Enough with the lectures. This is our show." The tension peaked as commercials loomed, but Sowell pressed on with evidence from his books like Basic Economics and Black Rednecks and White Liberals. The audience was divided, with cheers and jeers filling the air, making it clear this was no ordinary episode. Returning from break, the atmosphere on The View was electric, with Whoopi Goldberg visibly agitated, fidgeting in her seat as she tried to steer the conversation. "Dr. Sowell, your views seem to ignore the human element," she said, her voice strained. Sowell responded, "Humans respond to incentives. Rent control, for example, reduces housing supply, hurting the very people it's meant to help. Look at New York City's shortages." Joy Behar scoffed. "That's theory. Real people are suffering." Sowell cited empirical studies. San Francisco's rent controls led to 15% less rental housing. Facts over feelings. Sunny Hostin pivoted to crim. "Penal justice. Mass incarceration disproportionately affects blacks. Your thoughts? Sowell. Crime rates rose after lenient policies in the 1960s. Tough sentencing in the 1990s reduced crime, saving black lives. Whoopi exploded. You're justifying racism in the system. Standing up fully now, she pointed at him, losing control as her co-hosts tried to calm her. This man is dangerous with his ideas. The audience roared, some chanting support for Sowell. He remained seated, voice steady. Dangerous is ignoring data that could improve lives. Affirmative action mismatches students, leading to higher dropout rates, as per mismatch theory. Sarah Haynes interjected softly, but diversity matters. Sowell, true diversity is of thought, not just skin color. Campuses today stifle debate. Ana Navarro accused him of being a Republican shill. Sowell laughed lightly. I'm an independent thinker, labels don't apply. As Whoopi ranted about privilege, Sowell dismantled her points one by one. Privilege is relative. Asian Americans face discrimination yet succeed through merit. The show's director signaled to wrap up, but the exchange continued heatedly. Whoopi's outbursts drew gasps. Her usual poise shattered. Sowell concluded a point on education vouchers. They empower poor families, as seen in Milwaukee's program success. The co-hosts were flustered, their arguments crumbling under Sowell's factual assault. The climax hit as Whoopi Goldberg, now fully unraveling, shouted over Sowell, "You don't get to come here and invalidate our experiences with your so-called facts." The studio fell into stunned silence for a moment before erupting. Sowell, unfazed, replied, "Experiences are anecdotal, data is comprehensive. For Black progress, pre-1960s trends showed faster gains in income and education before Great Society programs. Joy Behar tried to back Whoopi. This is gaslighting." Sowell, no, it's enlightenment. Marxism-inspired policies fail everywhere from Cuba to Venezuela. Why import them here? Sunny Hostin demanded sources, and Sowell rattled off books and studies effortlessly. Whoopi, pacing slightly, declared, "I can't sit here and listen to this anymore." Attempting to end the segment, but Sowell interjected, "Running from debate won't change reality. Social justice warriors prioritize equality of outcomes over opportunity, which stifles innovation." The audience cheered loudly for Sowell, drowning out the host's protests. Sarah Haynes asked a final question on climate change's economic impact. Sowell, alarmism ignores cost-benefit analysis. Green policies hurt the poor most with higher energy costs. Ana Navarro rolled her eyes. Denier. Sowell, skeptic of hysteria, believer in science, like how predictions of doom since the 1970s failed. Whoopi's control slipped further as she muttered expletives off-mic, caught by hot mics, causing a producer frenzy. Sowell rapped with a powerful statement, "Empower individuals, not bureaucracies. That's the path to true progress." The show cut to commercial abruptly, leaving viewers buzzing online about the epic takedown. Post-break, the hosts attempted to regroup, but the damage was done. Whoopi Goldberg's outburst had gone viral in real-time clips. She sat back down, composing herself, but her glare at Sowell was icy. "Let's talk solutions, then," she said through gritted teeth. Sowell outlined school choice, deregulation, and cultural emphasis on family and education. Harlem Children's Zone shows promise when community-led. Joy Behar countered weakly, but government must help. Sowell, help often hinders. Look at Native American reservations under federal control. Poverty persists. Sunny Hostin brought up healthcare disparities. Sowell, Obamacare increased costs without proportional ben. EFITs, free markets with catastrophic insurance work better, as pre-1960s. Whoopi interrupted again. "This is nonsense." Her voice cracked, revealing frustration. The co-hosts piled on, but Sowell's responses were like precision strikes on gun control. Chicago's strict laws, yet high violence, armed citizens deter crime, per studies. Sarah Haynes shifted to women's issues. Sowell, feminism's wage gap myth ignores choices in fields and hours. Adjusted data shows near parity. Ana Navarro accused bias. Sowell, bias exists, but overstating it disempowers. Focus on skills. As time wound down, Whoopi's composure frayed completely, slamming notes down. "You're impossible." Sowell smiled faintly. Truth often is to those wedded to ideology. The audience applause for him was thunderous, signaling a shift in the room's energy. As the show concluded, Thomas Sowell's dismantling of The View's arguments left the hosts reeling, with Whoopi Goldberg muttering apologies to the camera for her loss of control. That was intense, she admitted, but the damage to their narrative was evident. Sowell thanked them politely. Debate sharpens minds. Thank you for the platform. Walking off to cheers, he had exposed flaws in